And welcome to In-Game Chat for Saturday, December 28th, 2013. This is Season 7, Episode 46. I'm Scott.
I'm James.
I'm Dennis.
I'm Matt.
And I'm RJ.
And welcome to the show. In fact, welcome back, James, from the long stretch of, a month?
Yeah, just about
5-6 weeks.
Yeah. Here for the PlayStation release, and then not here for the Xbox One release.
5 weeks. So
November 22nd, something like that. So, yeah. Anyway, welcome back to the show. Glad to have everybody back. And full house. And, of course, our last show of 2013. If you'd like to get in touch with us, our phone number is 334-272-9228. That is 334-272-9228. You can find us on Twitter at In-Game Chat, as well as on Facebook. You can email us, everyone, at ingamechat.net. We are streaming the cam feed right now through Twitch, and you can find us there, as well as joining the chat room live while we broadcast. So welcome to the show, and welcome everybody in the chat room. Glad to have you with us on this last episode of 2013, kind of a somewhat of a year in review, somewhat of catching up with last things to talk about in the year that's gone by, which has basically been dominated by console news. For the most part,
next-gen consoles.
For the most part, that's been what it's all been about as far as the new stuff, and we'll review some of that a little bit later on. Going into, we'll start off. Christmas came and went. I got, as far as games, I got Tearaway for the PlayStation Vita, which I'll get into. I've been buying, if I talk about games that I got myself, Steam has been really generous.
Lots of holiday sale games. I've seen my activity log every so often. Scott got 20 new games.
Well, when the DLC goes on sale,
there's stuff left.
Yeah.
There are things left that you don't already have.
Saints Row 4 DLC, there was a massive amount of that. And it was all on sale. So I was like, I'll grab that. What else did I... Today I picked up Brothers, which I have not played. I've got Brothers. And I've also been gifting some games to some people as well. Colony of Gamers did their Secret Santa thing.
Oh, okay.
And so I did a couple of those and gifted some games. When they're $5, it's like, here. Drew, Track Zero, is a guy who's gifted me Skyrim and a couple of other games in the past year, just on a whim. Not even because they were on sale and he saw I didn't have them, and gifted them to me. So I got him. His wish list showed Assassin's Creed, the first one, and also Brotherhood and Revelations. So I got him all three of those, because they are currently on sale for $5 each. So I got him all of those and gifted those to him as well. So that's always been fun. Like I said last week on the show for myself, while I know that we've been moving on from PS3 into PS4 territory, I've been buying a lot of PS3 games just because they're on sale. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, I grabbed the limited edition of that because it came with a little tchotchke, the sword and the thing, the little plasma lamp thing that it had. And it's like, okay, $50, half off from the 100 that it normally is. I'll pick it up. And I got the Metal Gear Solid Legacy collection because that was on sale as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's what all the Metal Gear Solids.
Just a ton of them, yeah. There's. It's easier to say what's not included than it is to say what is included in that thing, because there's like 2 games out of the series that's not included in it. And I can't remember for what reason or why, but... And I got... what was it? Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts 1.5?
Yeah, the 2, right?
1.5 HD remix.
Oh, I thought you got the 2.5.
That's
2.5's not out yet.
Oh, okay.
So...
Never mind.
I did... Well, yeah, never mind. So, yeah, I did not get that, but that's what I got. Dennis, did you get anything?
I got The Legend of Zelda Hyrule Historia, which is the...
That's the book.
Yeah, that's a good book. I have it.
Yeah, it's a book. I think it covers up through Skyward Sword now.
Yes.
Doesn't cover the new Link Between Worlds or anything,
No.
but it's... I've just barely paged through it, but it's like exhaustive in detail. All sorts of concept art from all the games, really. Pretty much something I'm going to sit down, waste several evenings and afternoons on, just reading through this.
Yeah.
And that's where we got the official Zelda timeline from, too.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like it actually splits off.
Into the 3 times.
Is it 3? I thought it was just...
Officially 3, yeah.
Okay, I thought it was just 2 times. There was just where Ocarina of Time, everything, you get to the good ending Ocarina of Time, and the other one where Ganondorf wins.
It's the old Link, young Link, and Link dies.
Okay, that's interesting. I'll have to go back and look over that a bit more then.
Matt, nothing for you?
I picked up today on the Steam sale Resident Evil 6.
Okay. RJ, anything?
It was
anything
$11.
from you?
What are you laughing at?
All I got is some cash and some gift certificates, so I'll probably be getting some games later.
You know,
on.
I got a GameStop gift card. I did,
Good, good.
that's that as well. Although I'm using it to buy an Amazon gift card
right.
so that my options are much more than whatever just GameStop sells.
Hey, do what you got to do, man.
Use GameStop gift card, get an Amazon gift card to bolster your Steam wallet, or
Exactly.
get an extra year of PS Plus.
Totally. You can do that. And James, you...
I don't do presents, man. I don't do that stuff. If it ain't socks, I don't want it. Otherwise, I buy it for myself and forget about it. I don't buy them. I don't get them. It's perfectly fine. I'm impossible to buy for because...
Well, it's not socks.
Thanks for
Don't
screwing
say
up
that.
the entire world.
It's not socks for you.
All
It's
right.
underwear.
But
I'll take underwear.
I know your size.
Uh,
Are you trying not to rip the paper? It is...
I'm trying not to be loud.
No, go ahead.
For
People know what you're doing. People, you know what we're doing.
oh, nice.
Opening up a Christmas gift.
Nice.
What is wrong with you?
Nothing. Why? You don't want it?
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Get away from me. It's mine.
There you go.
All right. I'll think of a way to get back at you later.
So, yeah, you will. So, for those of you watching on cam, you know what he got. For those of you listening to us through the stream or just on the radio, he got a PS Vita.
The PS Vita. Good.
Yeah, that's got 3G?
I don't know, man. Yeah, 3G Wi-Fi.
Wow.
Yeah, that's better than mine.
I've only got the Wi-Fi.
Same here.
Nice.
Yeah. But I wonder if that's also the OLED screen, or is that the LCD screen?
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
Whatever. Doesn't matter. You got a Vita now.
Yeah,
and you've
we'll
got
find out on the
tons.
break.
You've got tons
I've got tons of stuff
games.
to play.
Because you've been a PS Plus member. So,
Yeah.
so there. Now you got something on Christmas
Nice.
gaming related. So,
And it comes with a game, too.
yeah, it comes with.
It comes with a game that he's not going to play on it because he's already played it
No,
elsewhere.
I might play it.
Okay.
I tell you what,
Just see how it controls.
Yeah.
it comes with a download code for that game. And for 400 days, I believe it comes with also Sly Cooper. I think there's a couple other games that it lists, or that was listed in the bundle when I bought it. But
Yeah, it includes Walking Dead on it. That's at least that's the big one that's promoted on the front of the box.
yeah, Uncharted is in there, and I think, but of course you've got that already. From,
Yeah, the PS Plus.
Yeah, Sly Cooper is in there as well. So there you go. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, let's see. Now that you're back, though, you've been playing, as far as I know, Assassin's Creed 4, and you just dipped into Walking Dead today.
Right.
Which one do we want to hit first? We want to hit Walking. You've been Dennis has been playing Walking Dead.
Yeah, I've been
first.
I've been playing back through on PC because I originally did it on the Xbox 360.
Is there any reason that you're not? Is it because you're? Why you doing that?
I just thought it'd be more interesting, and I got like Walking Dead for like cheap $5 during a summer sale. And I was just like, well, let's go ahead and get season 2 on PC.
Might as well make that your prime.
Yeah, make it my primary playing device.
Right. Gotcha.
And so going back through, I haven't gotten into season 2 yet. I just reached the end of episode 4 of season 1 today.
Honestly, it's not a bad idea because we don't know anything about the next gen systems and these games.
Yeah.
And the saves that
yeah,
carry
and
over.
that's another part of it. It was like, well, when season 3 comes out, is it going to be PS4 and Xbox One, and then nothing matters, or?
Right, I can tell you right now, I started, Wolf Among Us and everything else that they may do. I'll be hitting PC when that happens just because of the way that things can carry over. Seems to be the best way to go in that situation if you have to deal with that situation. So let's start with what's fresh on your mind, I guess. Walking Dead, you played that today. Season 2, episode 1. You got through it today. I've played it, and Matt has played it. Dennis has not. RJ has not.
Did you finish it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's honestly, it's a hard one to just say, I'm going to stop here and pick it up later.
Yeah.
Not because it's so, but because it's so tight and compact. I mean, what, it took you 2 hours?
If that.
Yeah.
It's not like they have like a clear definable, here's a good stopping point, because like any time that you might think that like there's always more, you could go a little bit further, and there's all, so yeah, it's not really a one that you could just put down.
Yeah, and so it's quick to go through. About 2 hours to get through it, and we had already played it. Kind of gave some thoughts on it last week as to what we were very, it's It's a first episode situation. You're really only familiar with Clem. The other people, I don't remember many of their names of the other characters.
They weren't in the 400 days, were they?
No.
Okay.
But and Dennis was asking if 400 days, anything in 400 days showed up in episode 1.
Supposedly the save carries over.
Well, yeah, save does
But yeah,
carry over.
I don't know.
It doesn't
like,
mean that there's anything from the
from
first
the-
season that's actually going to translate into the gameplay or the presentation.
Or from 400 days.
or it might come later on.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the hopeful plan of that thing. That's the way you would like that to happen. Is you make decisions in this, and those decisions carry through.
Yeah.
Even if it's like something extra, like was it the reunion achievement in 400 days?
Yeah, that was
It's
a-
dependent on a decision you make back in episode 1.
Yeah. The first season.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I guess it depends on like who you save in episode 1.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was almost a pointless.
Yeah, it was just like a 2-second little thing where it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, you paid attention to that thing. Thanks, game.
And it didn't even force you into it. You had to walk over there and actively do something
okay.
about it. You had to walk over and investigate what that body was laying on the ground. And I tell you, in a game of zombies, I'll skip it. But yeah, so it just it wasn't forced in that way, or it wasn't anything that was important.
Okay.
I thought it was a poor excuse, honestly, to connect the two, to connect 400 days to Walking Dead season 1.
Okay.
And really, if you were going to do it that way, just not do it at all, and then let the majority of it come in season 2, and we'll see about that. It's only episode 1, but yeah, the only thing that I know that was referenced was the location at the opening of the game, was that truck stop.
Okay.
That's about it. That came from 400 days. So, what did you think?
Season 2, episode 1?
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
I didn't like it, actually.
Because
I feel like it was a first few very timid steps towards figuring out how they're going to give Clementine enough agency to be the center of a story for 5 episodes at the very least. I mean, unless they want to pull something crazy midway through and change protagonists, which is entirely possible. It could be something that they're interested in doing. I don't know that they did a very good job in giving her enough to do that didn't make me feel like that she was too timid, too afraid. They took a couple of steps towards making her seem like an empowered character, a character that could take care of herself, but she's right on the on the edge, age range wise, in terms of really being old enough to do anything believable, in terms of being out on her own. And I don't know, I don't trust the direction I think they intend to go with the character. She still seems too fragile, and I don't know that I really want to go through an entire game, knowing where they're probably going to go in terms of gameplay, playing somebody so completely fragile.
I was, I kind of see what you're saying there, because I felt the same way about her, that she does seem so fragile, and yet some of the situations that they put her in seems like she'd not get through. She wouldn't get stitching up her own arm.
Yeah, it was.
Is the
Yeah, I
problem.
mean, that was. I really liked the way they delivered it. I really liked that sense, but the amount of discomfort she appeared to be in when she was doing that, the amount of pain that she had to overcome to get something done, felt, that it felt like a very. The scenario felt very adult.
Yeah.
And whatever she's been through, she's not an adult. She's not empowered and enabled, and she's not experienced enough. She may have been taught a few things by a couple of people, and she's seen horrible, horrible things. I'm sure her psychology has really adjusted to a world inhabited by zombies, but I don't know. It's a question mark for me. I did not like it. I didn't hate it either. And I think they did a fairly good job. But I am uncertain. I don't really know what to expect from the next 4 episodes or whatever we get with her as the star.
Did you play it by yourself or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was curious, if Dana was
No.
with you and. Yeah.
The overall, the decisions at the end, where did you sit?
On the popular side of pretty much everything.
with the exception of that, I guess that final one.
That was kind of, yeah.
Matt and I
50-50.
were on the 50-50 split on that final decision.
I think we went
Yeah.
the same way.
Yeah, where did you go on the end?
I
of
mean,
that?
are we talking about spoiling it?
Did you go with the old dude or did you go with the young dude?
The old dude.
You went with the old dude.
Okay.
Matt and I went with young dude. So,
Oh, why?
because the old guy got bit and we're like, okay,
And he didn't have any bullets.
The old guy seemed like the only person who really had his head about him and knew what was going on in the world. The young guy seemed rash, like he would make bad decisions. As Clementine, I trusted the old guy.
Mhm.
The old guy reminded her, in a way,
Of Lee.
of the solidity of Lee.
Yeah.
So in that moment when I was role-playing, I decided to go that direction.
Yeah. Well, it's only the first episode, the first of 5 episodes, so, early to say. It'll be interesting to see what
Well, yeah, we're only playing with 1/5 of the story right now.
I know. And it's an intro type story, too, as far as these new characters and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I know that some of the aspects of it is that it is very likely that you will not be in that position that you were in the previous games, or probably in any of the Walking Dead games. There's only really 2. But even the stories in the comics, in the sense that you're never going to be a leader of a group. I
Yeah.
mean,
if you're playing as Clem the entire time.
yeah, unless it's just by yourself. That's pretty much the lead, captain of your own destiny type situation. That's it. Because when you are involved in a group, you're going to have very little sway in any kind of decision of what that group does, which is a bit interesting to see if they don't possibly switch focus on characters, maybe. In later episodes, I don't see them doing that, but
I'll say, who could they give you control over that wouldn't feel strange?
I know. Well,
Not
they could
it's-
bring back somebody from season 1.
All 2 other people?
There's not very many left, but it's
Possibly 3, depending on what happens to one person.
it's possible. It is possible. Outside of that, you've been playing Assassin's Creed 4.
You haven't played it a lot, actually.
I've been playing a lot of that as well, and so has Matt. How far in are you, Matt? What do you know?
I've gotten to the second half of the map. You know how you clear off the top half?
But as far as the story,
as far as the story,
then you haven't gotten to Kingston yet, have you?
no.
Okay.
Captain Kidd said, meet me at this, wherever place, and I've been just sailing around, just discovering.
But
the
you
map.
haven't gotten to Kingston yet. That tells me
No.
a better part of,
Okay.
basically where you're not. And I know James and I are much further ahead in that regard as far as the story is concerned. So I just finished up I started chapter 9, Memory 9, and I'm not exactly sure where James is, but he is.
I think I'm in like memory 3.
Yeah, James is very close. Probably working on 8, actually, right now, if I had to take a guess. So we've talked about it a little bit before the show, but our thoughts on it, at least mine and Matt's, we've talked about this in previous episodes, are we like it, and we were really interested to hear what you thought after your just amount of hate that you have for 3.
Right.
It being the worst game of all time for the most part, not even Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed. Not, just branching out from just that little subgenre, it's bad game for you. So, but 4, you've enjoyed,
Yeah.
to be general.
Yeah. I enjoy 4 in general. I mean, I certainly appreciate that they took the ship gameplay and put it front and center instead of using it as a system that's at
Like fast
to the
travel.
side of the main game in 3. I actually like that I like the way they built it. I don't know, man. Assassin's Creed 4, I feel like I can enjoy it, but at the same time not think it's a particularly good game. In a lot of respects, a worthy successor to the Assassin's Creed franchise. Let me say that. I don't think it's that at all. Yeah, I agree with most other people that they should have just gotten the Assassin's Creed business out of the way if this was the game that they absolutely wanted to make. I think that for the most part, everything they do to capture the sense of piracy during the Age of Sail is acceptable. A lot of it's really, really childish. It's an era in history that I really, really enjoy, so I find myself nitpicking it an awful lot, reminding myself that it really is a video game. When I've blown up, half a dozen ships in as many minutes. You know, I'm playing a video game. I don't know what I can really say about to criticize the progress of the Assassin's Creed storyline, you know, of the like historical Templars versus Assassins thing. I think I don't know that I would say it's mishandled, but it's handled so lightly that I think it's a huge problem for the game.
Well, I mean, they stopped caring about it in 3 altogether.
They really did, but they still put forth the effort to insist that these two factions were in conflict with one another. They did everything in their power to run away from actually telling that story in detail, but still insist that that story is the reason that this game exists in the first place. And I don't like it, and they're doing it here. And there's certain things that I can agree with, but just having a guy who's so awesome that he has all of the Assassin's talent and has it in his blood, and we're going to change direction and try to explain away the years of training required for every individual that acted as a star of a previous installment, by saying that it's, you know, just in his genes, quite literally. That, I don't know. It feels at odds with itself. I really like it when I'm a pirate. I really don't like it when I'm an assassin. I like being free to do whatever it is I want to do in the game world. I really, really don't like going on missions. I think the missions in this game are dreadful.
The missions actually get in the way of the fun.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Of what it is. I tell you, man, and especially in the later missions that I keep finding coming up is just, it's always, my least favorite part of the game is tailing people. My least favorite more than that is tailing someone and also trying to eavesdrop on their conversation.
Yeah.
Can't stand it. I can't stand it. It's almost...
Yeah, that was part I hate. That was the mission I hated most in 3, was doing the eavesdrop.
Those are the equivalent of, like, underwater, you're going to lose your air missions. Which, by the way, they got those too. And I don't like them.
I actually don't have a problem with those. I was expecting to really, really hate the diving bell missions, and I've liked them all, as a matter of fact.
Right now, I'm only doing them to get the elite plans for the ship that I need. That's the only... I'm finding those, and then I'm going to get those. That's it. If it doesn't have anything else to offer, I'll go to it just so I can have a fast travel location in case I need to get to someplace quick in the ocean or something like that. But other than that...
I made the mistake of running into one of the legendary ships.
How did you run into it?
Well, I was just going to see... I pulled up on the map. I'm like, hey, let me check that out and see what it is. And so I got it close enough to, like, just look at it, and then it triggered, like, the cutscene. And they started chasing me, and I'm like, oh, run away.
Yeah, those are tough. I'm almost maxed to upgrading my ship, but I haven't decided to take one of those things on yet. No. Especially the one in the upper right-hand corner.
That's the one that, I ran into.
The 3?
Yeah.
You ran into the convoy of Legendary? Yeah, no.
I didn't last long.
It's not fun. Hey, when you try the one that's just by itself, it's not much better because your damage is so minimal to the ship.
Wow.
Extremely minimal to the ship. So, but anyway, you're liking this more than the 3, obviously, and we'll trudge through it and get through it. You're playing it on the PS4.
I am playing it on the PS4.
Which is exactly the same thing that Matt is playing it on as well. How you liking it on the PS4 as far as...
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I can understand perfectly that it doesn't look nearly as good as it would look on my PC, but it's extremely stable. The frame rate is really good, acceptable. I guess, I don't know, I shouldn't say really, really good. I've compared so many things on the consoles to things on the PC for a really long time. I know that it would be superior there, but I needed something that I could use to sort of test my opinions about the quality of the PS4 as a piece of hardware. And this worked out pretty well. I'm pleased, actually. I am pleased. I think it looks better than 3. It looks and plays better than I expected it to on the PS4.
Yeah, for a launch title, I think it did really well. I think this will be a good good gauge to see where the PS4 could go hardware-wise and just game-wise in the future. When you look back at the launch titles of the 360 and the PS3 as compared to the stuff that's getting launched now, released now. So it'll be interesting to see after a couple years.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's still complicated, obviously, by the fact that it's on 5 different platforms currently, cross-gen, cross-platform. not a really, really good measure of the game or any of the particular hardware, but it's really nice to be able to sit down in front of it and see it and trust that it's not going to be nauseating for me. And it really isn't. It's solid.
As far as I know, the touchscreen is only used in the map,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and even that's optional.
I don't
So-
really use it. It's
No,
not.
I tried it. It's kind of, yeah.
It's imprecise. It's
Yeah.
it's a little bit jerky. It doesn't work as well with the pinch to zoom functionality as I would like. So I don't really use it other than to open and close the map.
Yeah.
Do you have like a tablet or anything that you have the
Yeah.
AC app?
Yeah, I have a tablet and I can use it on my cell phone.
Okay. Have you? What do you think of that integration?
I think it's all right. I think it flattens my battery in about half an hour, well inside of any gaming session, so I'd need to have it plugged in to really use it reliably. I think it's nice to have it for when you're horsing around looking for buried treasure and you have to have the treasure maps open. It's a little bit fun sometimes to have the overworld map open when you're trying to hunt down a bunch of different things. It's most useful to handle the Kenway's fleet stuff.
I just got
From
into
outside of the game.
Yeah, I just got into the fleet,
Okay.
stuff.
Well, your iPad will come in a lot more handy now, because that's all I use it for. The other thing I used it for was I had a collection of treasure maps, and since I can access them from there, I could just go to the island, pop it up there instead of having to look each time while I'm sitting on the island. I can sit there and look at the treasure map and find out where the place is that I need to go on the land. It's helpful in that regard, but for the most part, that thing was built basically for the fleet stuff, is the reason that exists. So anyway, we're going to take our first break of the show. And when we come back, we got our news and review and go over some of the stuff from this past year and basically our first year back on the live broadcasts, and we'll have more of in-game chat when we come back in just a moment. And welcome back to In-Game Chat. Full house in the studio with us. Dennis, Matt, RJ, James, and myself. And we got a lot of people in the chat room, so welcome back to the show, everybody. It is the last show of 2013, and I thought we'd look back at some of the news that we've covered over the past year. Most of it was console-related at about February when PS4 was announced, and then it pretty much dominated the rest of the year as far as the big ones. But then you had... a lot of things happen, games released, stuff like that, and the big one that kicked off basically for us, for our show, was the Aliens Colonial Marines situation. And Matt still seems to hang his head on that.
Man?
I got nothing.
Which it's interesting, almost not a year later, but it's interesting to bring this up now because it was on sale for $2, I think, through Amazon.
It was. I picked it up.
Yeah, so... I mean, $2.
That was the price point it hit where it's like, okay, now it's worth it.
It's actually been, I think, that cheap once or twice before. It's a curiosity.
Okay.
As much as anything.
I feel that way with like Duke Forever. That if it does get to that point
if
again,
it got
then
down absolutely cheap enough, it's worth having as a curiosity.
Yeah.
$2 really doesn't amount to much at all for something like that. I know it adds up over time when so many of us pick up so many games for next to nothing and don't ever play them. But yeah, $2 to have something like that in my inventory, I'll take it.
Makes
And-
for an interesting tchotchke then.
Yeah.
Digital, anyway.
Yeah.
Also, in February, Destiny was announced. And then they said, and I remember I was going back through, the little show outlines that we do for each episode. And even when it was announced, there's that little blurb that I put under there, no PC version announced yet.
Mm-hmm.
There's still no PC version announced yet for Destiny. Kind of hoping that changes, but we'll see. PS,
How many private messages have you sent Daniel now asking him about that?
pretty much just the one, because he's got no pull over that. I wish he did. I wish there was a way that he could make that happen, or that he could give us a hint and saying, "Hey, don't worry about it. It's coming. It'll get there." But he doesn't know.
Yeah.
PS4 was announced in February, and that kind of dominated the week's rumor and speculation and everything else up until the Xbox hit in May and that sort of thing. In March, Tomb Raider released, which we had pretty much overall. We all liked it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think anybody had anything too bad to say about it. Longer than we expected with it, but really good game. Square Enix was not pleased with it.
Yeah, it only sold 3 million units.
Yeah.
3 million units was the number they were disappointed in.
Wasn't
I
good
think
enough
so.
for
Well,
them.
but that was 3 million units was after the first month.
Yeah, at least first
think
month. And that was not counting like Steam
That
sales
did not
and like
count
digital
digital
distribution.
distribution according to the article at that point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
3 million a failure. Ugh.
It was on sale for $5, the PC version on Amazon, and I grabbed that. Dead Space 4 was canned because Dead Space 3 sales were flimsy and not great. Also in March, SimCity released.
Oh, yeah.
That got us a couple episodes.
Yeah.
Got us a couple episodes, got certain websites wanting lots and lots of page views and getting far less than they did on it.
It still isn't where people want it to be. It's still
It's still
considered pretty
rather
much broken. It's still not the ideal of what everybody had hoped for.
It's not something you say this is the example of SimCity games here.
Oh God, no.
And just the fact that they blatantly lied about the online feature and just the reason why you had to be online.
Well, they still haven't gone back on that, really.
No.
They're still holding to those stories. John Riccitello resigned from EA as the CEO. Valve started their early access game program, which is still going on strong. That, the games that I see on sale in the Steam thing, if they're early access, some of those I'll actually skip.
Well, yeah, because the early access base constitutes of this is essentially a beta. Or it's not the final release. It's kind of like, State of Decay. I mean, the only thing with that was it only had controller support, didn't have keyboard.
Yeah, that was the
mouse
only
support.
reason it was in a early access state was because they had not implemented keyboard support. That was it. Everything else was fine. You would be getting the game you would be getting through that version was going to be the final. It's going to be the final version just without keyboard support. That was it.
Yeah.
That was the only classification that it had for being an early access title. But there's some really good ones. Kerbal is in there. That's one of the early access. Kentucky Route Zero. That's not. Is that early access?
no, it's
That's
an episodic.
it's episodic.
Yeah.
Is what
It's
that
The
is.
first
Yeah.
episode.
That's what that is.
Game. 2 actually.
Oh, really?
2, yeah, I believe there are 2 episodes out now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Yeah.
Let's see. BioShock Infinite was released in March
Which
and has shown up on a lot of Game of the Year lists lately,
And has been specifically excluded from a lot of other
and has
lists.
been excluded from those as well. Looking at April, Disney bought LucasArts and then closed it. Defiance was released. Into May, Diablo 3's auction house had a gold bug, and this would eventually lead to their decision to, or they may have already decided before then to shut it down. But
yeah, but it wasn't until a few months afterwards we heard, nope, auction house is going away.
yeah, it's going away.
I don't necessarily think those 2 things are directly related.
Right.
I think the shutting down of the auction house, bug or not, I believe the auction house would have gone ahead if they figured that it was both profitable and a worthy driving force for the future of how they want to monetize their games. I think what they figured out is that it just doesn't work, not in its current iteration, that they either need to go back to the drawing board or they need to give the idea a little more time to cook. One of the two things. I don't think it was directly related to the bug.
You have to
It may
convert, you have to convert your
influence the
dollars
idea.
into stones of Jordan from now on.
Yeah.
Metro Last Light was also released in May. A game James and I enjoyed, and
Me too.
you played it as well.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I played through both of them.
And EA decided to discontinue their online pass program, which
Yeah,
was
the
something that
Project
we
$10.
something we all kind of looked into as this is something having to do with the next gen consoles.
Something to do with next gen consoles. Maybe they just aren't making what they thought they would off of it. Yeah, and how much do we have on that? And like, have they said like this is the reason we're dropping this, or was that always just it's just going away?
It was just going away. I mean, we speculated that it their excuse was a very corporate reason or
Yeah.
whatever the wording was, but we kind of figured it just wasn't making them probably the money that they thought it was going to. And then the other speculation was that it had something to do with the way the new consoles would handle games and stuff. Because at the time that happened, we didn't know anything about the Xbox One, but not many weeks later, in May, is when they announced the Xbox One.
To pretty much no acclaim.
This would then take over the news for quite some time. We did not have a show where Microsoft pretty much didn't kick off the show with us talking about their policies, their change of policies, their misguided messaging.
And about every show where we discussed said policy or what they were doing, they would then go back and reverse
and
it.
have the reversals. Because when we go to June, that's when they reverse their DRM situation after, of course, E3. I threw this in here, but Michael Proctor's price predictions that he had. This was in June. This was before E3 when he was talking about the price. He predicted a sub $400 pricing scheme for the PS4 and the Xbox One. $350 for the PS4 and $400 for the Xbox One. Was his thought process on that. He also thought that they would lower the price of the PS3s and the Xbox 360. They thought the Wii would also take a pretty big price cut down to just $100 probably. And I don't know that it ever got there.
No, I think the Wii used like somewhere between $250 or $300 depending on the model.
But the Wii, just
the
Wii,
regular Wii.
Oh, the
the,
wow.
the Wii itself. He also predicted a PS Vita price drop, and I believe that
That
actually
did happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
That actually took place. Also in June, Remember Me released, which was something I know James played. I own it, haven't played it, but from the discussions we had about it, not really shot from the rooftops awesome, but it had some things
Had some
that
good
were
moments.
that was good about it. Better, I think, than what you expected. I think is what you came away with on that.
Better in some ways, worse in an
Worse
awful
than
lot.
others.
I thought I would enjoy the combat more, I guess. I was hoping I would enjoy the story progression better. I didn't care for it at all. The environment felt really great, but sometimes I feel like I'm defending games an awful lot of the time based on environment and presentation, and that's, I don't know, after a while that's just not entirely fair. So I did enjoy a little bit of it. I didn't play all the way through it because it got a little bit tedious and it was sort of unrewarding. I didn't think a lot of the combat progression was good. The mechanics weren't good enough to hold my interest over time. I really just wanted to explore the world they'd presented me with and not fight my way through it.
Yeah.
And that wasn't much of an option.
And that game, from what I remember, that game released right at like the 1st of June. And so the only previous title that we had released before that was Metro Last Light was, I think, early May. And there was just kind of a lull in between there.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you grabbed. Did you do a rental on that? You rented that, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Yeah, you did a rental. And I forget
I've been
about
waiting for the no, wait, on which one?
Remember Me.
Oh, yeah, okay. I did a rental on it, planning to buy the PC version when it went on sale. It has gone on sale, but
You didn't buy
they
it?
love holding on to their full price. Like
Oh.
it's
That's Capcom?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's still like a $50 game. So even at 50% off, it's only like $25. And I don't want to finish it off that bad. Like I really, really don't. Maybe I'm being a little bit too presumptuous, but I'm more accustomed now to prices, just the regular retail price offering dropping significantly over the course of 6 months.
That's
Theirs
why-
hasn't at all.
Yeah, that's why, like, with the Capcom title, the Resident Evil 6 I picked up, it was like $11. I figured, for that, just over 10.
It may not, I was looking. Capcom, Dead Rising 2 is another Capcom title.
Yes.
It has no sale. It is not in any way discounted on the Steam sale.
It was on the previous Steam sale.
Well, yeah, but I'm just
Yeah,
saying on
and
this
that-
one.
because that's when I picked it up.
But normally, almost all the games get some kind of
A little bit of-
10% or a
yeah.
little bit of discount on this. This is still the full price. It is not taking a hit at all for this. And I don't mean showing up in daily or flash or community choice. I'm just saying nothing.
Yeah.
I have not looked at Remember Me to see if it's on any kind of reduced price. To see if maybe that's some weird Capcom trend, but I don't know. Also in June, a lot of people's game of the year, or at least making their lists, and not making some that I've seen would be Last of Us.
Yes.
That released in June, and really, I don't know. I still think about that game. I still enjoy thinking about that game. I don't think I want to go back and play through it again, but
Yeah, I think I could go through for another play.
it has a lot of good memories. It really that was one of the most satisfying
Winter,
that I had played.
Yes.
just all of winter.
Yeah.
The rest of the game in my memory has a tendency to really fade. The quality has a tendency to drop off in my memory. Winter, I still think, is one of the best experiences I've had, but I think so much of that is because of the state of mind I was in that a player would be in while going through the game. I think that in isolation it isn't nearly as good, and on any replay it wouldn't be even remotely as good. I have no desire whatsoever to replay any part of that game ever again. I experienced it. It was visceral, and a lot of it was because I was completely convinced their narrative structure was so good that I was convinced that anything could happen over the course of the game. And so much of what I got out of it was due to the timeliness of it and the nature of being completely unspoiled. And that's not the case with not even games that have great narrative twists and revelations, but that game was a one-time thing for me. Don't ever want to see it again.
Just sort of, hold on to that memory and enjoy it for what it was.
It's not even a need to hold on to it. It's just that I certainly don't have a need to try to replicate it. And I'm not convinced it can be replicated. And I don't know that I would enjoy what I got out of it if I tried to. I feel the same way about BioShock Infinite. Yeah, in terms of combat mechanics and particularly level and encounter design, it was a dog. It was an absolute dog. But there was something very qualitative about it, something emotional, something very specifically designed to make me feel many, many different things. And I tried to replay it. I got a significant way through the game on a replay, and it wasn't that I had figured out it was a bad game. I don't even think it's a bad game. But the bad parts of it were always evident. The good parts of it were about being in that moment, about being absolutely drenched in the moment of whatever it was trying to do. And
you only really experienced that the first time you played it.
Yeah.
You played through it.
And it stuck with me. And I would actually say that some of the emotions that I went through in Infinite lingered far, far longer than The Last of Us, than the moments in Last of Us that did the same thing to me. They lingered so much more. I can still now go back and listen to the various arrangements of the songs that they presented in BioShock Infinite, and they pull at me, they tug at me in a way that stuff from Last of Us just doesn't. I take Last of Us for what it was, and it lived with me for a while, but I moved on from it a lot easier, largely because I can look at it, I can compartmentalize it and be like, you are basically a very good video game. You had an excellent narrative, really good story progression in that narrative. I like the story more or less. I like the characters for the most part. It was dire and unexpected and heart-wrenching in certain circumstances. I even liked the ending and most of what was in the gameplay. So you are a good game. I can put you over here and just feel, I know how I feel about you. It's very easy to say, you are excellent. Infinite was so much more difficult to deal with psychologically because I think objectively it's a bad game.
Having no bearing on the fact that you started playing on 99 mode?
I mean, maybe it did. Maybe that made the encounter design and the level design
Maybe it made the
more apparent
Right.
because I spent more time bashing my head against it.
mhm.
It could be that what they indicated 99 mode would be was nothing like what 99 mode was delivered as. I don't know.
You felt they promised something that it turned out.
I'm pretty
wasn't.
sure they promised something
Mm.
that they didn't deliver. All they delivered was bullet sponge enemies and a fragile player character. That's really all that they did. And he sold the idea as something that would bring me back to
Yeah.
how I felt games were designed
And
in 99. It was complete salesmanship, and that's okay. But here and there, it crossed over into absolute lie.
And it's
I
interesting
didn't
you
like
bring that up because we got an email from a listener, Alex Bobo, who had just played Bioshock and did the 99 mode and said it was touted as a taste of a new kind of a design and balance that hardcore gamers enjoyed back in the 20th century. That's what the Steam page describes it as. He writes, as I recall, in 99, I could quick save my game,
Yeah,
let alone hard save.
and manage your inventory.
Exactly.
Even have an inventory.
He says not even as interesting as Fallout's hardcore mode, considering the way the difficulty settings work nowadays. 99 mode is the real hard difficulty. Normal is essentially easy, and easy, I guess, is just the really just infinite difficulty.
Kid gloves.
Infant difficulty.
Press
not
A to
infinite.
win.
Yeah, really. He says it's been an odd trend. I don't remember anyone complaining that normal was too normal or hard was too hard. If anything, people claim that games were too easy, though they should have taken it face value. I wish they had just left out 99 mode and released it later as DLC so that it could be what it was advertised as, and it would have been a lot more interesting than the challenge room stuff we got, but it is what it is. I enjoyed it. Good enough to play through it 3 times even. Well, you got your money's worth on that. So,
Didn't Metro do the DLC the Ranger mode?
Yeah, they charged you for it too. But they did. I don't know. I didn't. I was intended to go back and play it on the Ranger mode, and I didn't.
Okay.
I did not have enough interest in going back through it again. As much as I liked that game and thought the gameplay actually shone really, really well, there were certain things I didn't really feel like experiencing again.
All right.
that was June. Going into July, Matrick left Microsoft for Zynga, of all places. And Walking Dead 400 Days was released. Microsoft reversed their indie game policy, so second month and another second reversal.
Yep, another reversal.
And Giant Bomb's Ryan Davis passed away in July as well. Going into August, Fez 2 was canceled.
Yeah, that's when giant Twitter meltdown.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of those because not the month, but May was the deal with it issue.
Mm-hmm.
When he, Adam Orth, I believe was his name, touted on Twitter and then lost his job over it for what happened from that. Now, Fez 2 was canceled because the guy just quit. He didn't lose his job. He just said,
Well,
I
I mean,
quit.
he quit after, what was it, a particular interview of some kind, if I remember correctly. And he was just like, you know what, just done. That's it. No, not going to bother making this. It's, had enough.
Yeah, and I haven't heard from him since, actually.
Yeah.
As far as what's going on with him or whatever is going on with Fez 2, nothing, obviously. Carmack became CEO of Oculus Rift. That month, a lot of games. Payday 2, Splinter Cell, also Saints Row 4, Papers, Please, and DuckTales, all released in the month of August. That's when things started to pick up. Also, Final Fantasy 14, if I didn't already say that, released in August. And the PS4 launch date got announced at Gamescom, and Origin started offering refunds, which I have not taken up on. But then again, I haven't bought much from Origin anyway.
Well, not
so-
just anything from Origin, but EA produced titles.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
It had to be EA produced.
and I think specifically things that have their good game guarantee or whatever it is they call it.
Mm.
So only for those things, only that's theirs on Origin, which is worth pointing out because Origin carries plenty of non-EA
They do. Yeah.
published things now.
It's interesting because when I think of Uplay and I think of Origin, I only really associate those with their
respective games.
yeah.
Yeah.
The only time I see Uplay come up is when I fire up Assassin's Creed. I have to go through. Even
sure.
Even
Yeah.
if I launch it through Steam, the Uplay app has to launch, and that's how I play Assassin's Creed 4.
That's how all the Ubi games were on Steam.
Yeah, no, that's how they are. But you don't have to go through that on your PS4. You don't have to have the application launch or anything like that. Let's see. Into September, GTA 5 releases, and Steam announced a bunch of stuff. Steam OS, Steam Family Sharing, and the Steam Machines all announced in September. We're just the Steam Machines and the OS just now getting released not too long ago. People with the controllers are playing them, and I've seen some videos on how those controllers
Yeah, a
work.
couple of
Yeah.
demonstrations on, here's Bastion with the Steam controller and such.
It works exactly kind of like I thought it was going to work in
Yeah.
that way, and seems to be easy. It's a learning curve for everybody who has to use a brand new peripheral anyway. So I'm kind of curious how that feels. I probably won't get my hands on one until
Till there's
maybe
an actual release.
maybe E3 or next release, depending on when that's going to be coming about. So, and then getting closer into where we are now, going into October, Wolf Among Us was released. Beyond Two Souls was released.
Still haven't played that yet.
That's right. You still got your PS3 hooked up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you finish Grand Theft
GTA?
Auto?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
Drive Club, Watch Dogs, and The Crew all got delayed, which is something that I didn't have while we were going over all these things, but I could almost pick you every single month when something about Watch Dogs was announced or revealed. But all of it leading up to a November release.
Yeah.
The release date was announced, the price was announced, the systems were announced, everything was
And it was
leading up to
expected
this.
be a launch title,
And
essentially.
This was in October, just less than a month
yeah.
or about a month away from the release of that game, and it got delayed. And that was October. And then you had, of course, the 720p versus the 1080p situations going on with the brand new consoles and what was going on in that situation. And then, of course, November, the new consoles were released, and Carmack leaves id. And that brings us up to speed on what happened in 2013. So there you go. Lots of games, too. So anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what we're looking forward to for the new year, I guess, if anybody's gotten some New Year's games resolutions. I've got at least one. I could probably come up with some more. Am I going to get them done? One of them I have to. I just have to.
Well, there's always the eternal finish your Steam library, finish playing that.
I don't even.
God.
That's too broad.
Yeah, that's way too much.
I'm putting my finish Witcher is really what I'm going on. Finish Witcher 2.
Finish the A's in your Steam library.
Something
I
like
tried
that.
That doesn't work either.
No. Anyway, we'll be right back with more in-game chat in just a bit. And welcome back to In-Game Chat for our final show of 2013, probably a front alive one. Have you James? You have your PS4 now, and I think we mentioned this, or you and I talked about this off air. You haven't streamed with it yet, have you?
I keep forgetting.
Oh, okay.
It's not intentional. I forget that it's a thing that I can do. I don't know. It's very difficult for me because I haven't actually lived in a gaming place for about 5 weeks now.
I know.
When
yeah.
I have to leave and I have to do the other thing that I do. It doesn't really leave much time for me to do anything. I literally...
Yeah, for anyone curious, he wasn't here because he didn't want to be here. He was here
No,
because
I had
physically could not be here.
Yeah, I could not be here. So,
Which
my
means he could also
schedule...
not play games.
Right, my schedule permits me one thing, and essentially one thing only. I can turn off my gray matter and I can play World of Warcraft, and I can grind out some dailies and do literally mindless things, and that's about it. But actually sitting down and trying to make progress in any kind of game that I care about at all, I cannot follow the news, I cannot listen to the show that you guys are producing. I can't really do any of that stuff, so I'm very much, even now, I feel very much like
Feels like the first time.
out of sorts. I don't know how to show. I don't know how to end game chat. I barely even know how to handle my gaming.
The only thing
time.
you think of is like, I need to be working right now.
Yeah.
what
No, I
you
mean,
do.
I have that. Like, I still have that weird anxiety.
Yeah, I'm
you know,
right there
that-
with you, man.
So, so I'm trying to I have to cast my brain back to like, when did we talk about this? What are you talking about? I don't even know what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. I have not streamed with it. I know that you did a couple of times. I tried to tune into that to see what the quality is like, but I have not turned it on to do anything other than play Assassin's Creed, unfortunately, and have.
Well, no.
This is a silly statement. but
Killzone.
You know what? You're right. I don't know how I could forget about that.
Yeah.
I actually did play that. I got. I was within minutes of canceling my GameFly account because there is nothing left on past consoles that I'm interested in playing that I have not played. So I have no need of any discs they could ship me.
You
there.
had not yet really decided if you were keeping your PS4.
Yeah, I wasn't going to be a scalper or anything like that. I had it paid for and I went ahead and picked it up. But I thought, if for whatever reason, like it goes to crazy money, I'm not as interested in it as maybe someone else could be. So I was entertaining that idea for a very long time. But I decided to open it up anyway. And, there was the free-to-play stuff, and I was perfectly interested in that stuff. That's fine. I thought Resogun was fantastic and still want to sit down and spend more time with it. And but this is before, like I was saying, I wanted something from GameFly for my system, and they wouldn't ship me anything. I was literally minutes away from canceling my account. When they were like, oh, no. Hey, guess what? This is on the way. And so is this. All these games, they're coming to you. So I was like, all right. So I got, not all these games. I got
Need for Speed Rivals.
Need for Speed Rivals
Killzone.
and Killzone. And 2014 is going to be about me coming to terms with my changing opinions about video games. My opinions changing relative to the rest of the world. This is a trend I've been suffering for a really long time. I don't do it on purpose, but at more and more and more I find myself in a minority opinion if I go into the internet and sample a broad enough number of people. Really liked Killzone. If I take an informal census of all the people talking about it, right? The people who hate it, think it is some sort of wretched abomination, and the people who are clearly a part of the defense force. And it come down with mostly people that are just like, I don't like it. At best, it's mediocre. At worst, it's, broken. I don't know why. It was one of those single-player games, and I'm really only talking about the single-player here, that I played in like 2 settings. I thought it was really pretty good. Not great.
Mm-hmm.
Not great. It absolutely smelled like something that had to be out on launch day for the PS4. And sometimes I think a bad game is bad because it's mismanaged. It was never going to be good to begin with. But I feel like this could have been a really, really fantastic game if it had had enough time to just become what it wanted to be. But considering the fact that it was made to be ready-ish on launch day, I rather liked it, and I couldn't put my finger on why. And I'm used to being able to put my finger on almost anything, particularly any statement I make. But I liked it a lot. I played, like 2 good 8-hour sessions, and enjoyed it. I enjoyed that it wasn't a set-piece shooter. I enjoyed that some of the environments were somewhat open, quasi-open. There was a linear game with non-linear mission structure in 1 or 2 different places. I enjoyed that there wasn't a map. I enjoyed that to some degree you had to behave in your mind a little bit like you would have with an older style shooter. I don't really know what it was. It was also extremely pretty, and sometimes that's enough, And maybe at that moment, it was enough for me.
Yeah.
Which, even that makes very little sense because I play primarily on a PC. And Killzone isn't really doing anything that the PC can't do right now anyway. It's a brilliant looking game, and I thought it played quite well. But I don't know. Can't put my finger on why. I really did enjoy it. I will not necessarily jump to its defense, but...
Did the last 2 levels annoy you? They annoyed Naveed in the chat room. So I bring that up.
Not especially. I
Okay.
had read enough about it to know that people didn't like the very beginning and the very end. I wouldn't say they annoyed me, but I said they were the worst on offer. I guess I can say that if that makes any sense at all. And there were a dozen things about the game that I think a simple piece of dialogue, and I don't mean minutes here, I'm talking seconds. One little brief mention of something could have put in context an entire mission that didn't make any sense otherwise. Strange zero gravity jetpacks where you can suddenly shoot rockets out of your earlobes or wherever they're coming from. Weird things like that. There was no exposition where there could have been a lot of exposition. I actually really liked the freefall levels. I really did. I thought that they were, in their own way, slightly exhilarating. And I thought that they were okay, even though I died several times going through them. So, I don't know. I wish I could tell you why I liked it. I'd like to say that I've tried really hard to figure that out. I haven't. I realized that I couldn't, and I just sort of stopped. And
Well, yeah, because, it completely slipped your mind while we were talking about all this.
Yeah. I played through it. I thought it was again, I rented it. I don't know how I'd feel about a purchase.
Buying it, yeah.
The multiplayer is incredibly solid, and again, looks very, very good. And in its own way, is a very, very good thing. And I know that people come down hard where they come down on different opinions in multiplayer first-person shooters. So, I don't know. But yeah, I did play that. And I just got it. It was the only thing I cared about for like 2 days. And that's all it took. But it was 2 pretty good days. So, I enjoyed that a lot.
We were talking about the streaming, and Smelton in the chat room says that he is watching us on his Xbox One.
Okay.
Through the Twitch app.
Right.
On that. And just for experimental sake, Xbox, go home. We'll just see if that works.
Right.
He'll tell us in the chat room if it did. Anyway.
I haven't tried the streaming on the PS4 either.
No, you haven't. We talked about you doing that, but you didn't.
I forgot I need to go back in and reset my password or whatever because I totally forgot what my
for
login.
Twitch?
Yeah, for Twitch is.
You can use the shows.
I'll need to get that information.
Oh,
I guess.
okay, gotcha.
I've been gone for a while, so yeah, I
True.
forgot what all that stuff was. And I had an app on my phone which had all my passwords and everything, but when I updated my phone, it crashed and lost my database. So all my old passwords are all gone.
Man.
Oh, it did not work.
No, it didn't. Oh, well. Anyway, looking ahead to the new year and kind of, I don't know, I think we've done this before on the show, kind of make some resolutions of what we plan to do within the next year. And you can be over the top and say, yeah, I'm going to hit my backlog and get that knocked out or something like that. We all know.
Lies.
We all know what our backlogs look like. And we all know how much that statement is completely stupid. Just ridiculous to say that
but
I'm going to finish. But maybe RJ. RJ does not leave a lot left in his. If he buys a game, he finishes
RJ cleans
it.
his plate.
He does, and so he does not. He usually doesn't have any leftovers. But
If RJ cleans his plate, I feel like I'm at the Chinese buffet with just the big pile on my on mine.
Now I do have some games on my backlog. I just have to start it. That's the problem. Now, when I start it, I will eventually
You will finish
plug it away and until I finish it within about a week. Within about a week or so.
Well,
But I do have a backlog. Don't don't get me wrong. I got a backlog. Just got to start working on it.
my only real resolution is and it's almost forced, is that I have to finish Witcher 2. That's it. Witcher 3 is this year. I have to finish Witcher 2. So that's pretty much what I am pledging to do for 2014. It's not much, but well, Witcher 2 is pretty big, but yeah, I plan on getting through that, and then of course playing and finishing Witcher 3 when it releases, whenever that may be. But it's sometime this year is what we're looking at.
I think I would like to do more streaming. Cause,
You should.
Yeah, that's
the little bit
That should
of,
be our resolution for all of us, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little
that's
bit of
what I
Binding
was
of
gonna say.
Isaac I did was really good. I enjoyed that a lot.
same here when I
He-
did the
What was it, Papers, Please?
the scary game.
Amnesia.
Amnesia. Okay. Amnesia.
Were you playing with the title on that while you were doing that?
No, I was
Okay.
really trying to remember it.
Yeah, you should. We should all. You've got a PS4 now that can make that a lot easier for you to do, and of course, James.
Plus, I'm
is-
curious, like, because I have the camera, I want to see how that works as well with the streaming. If it
You did get a camera.
yes,
Okay. Yeah, you should. You should definitely give that a try. I know you, James, you've got a camera with it as
Yep.
well.
Don't know why,
I don't
because there was.
I know. I don't.
It's real good at logging me on with the camera. I'm surprised. It always gets that.
Mm-hmm.
Where you,
Yeah, pick out your
like,
face?
picks out your face and asks you to pick up the controller and line it up with the thing. It's like, yeah, all right, this is you're better at this than I expected you to be. So, I don't know. I think you see something that looks like a face, and then you ask the thing that looks like a face to pick up the thing that looks like a controller, and you're like, whatever. We don't care. Go ahead and log in. We don't mind.
Naveed in the chat room says that the problem for backlogs start when you buy games faster than you can play them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steam sale.
Steam sales.
Well, that's specifically in response to Ghost Bear pointing out that the idea of backlogs is silly.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I mean, that's an interesting statement, right? Because it feels like work. When you talk about your backlog, you're talking about something that you feel like you should do. You're talking about something that you feel you have some obligation to do. As we are really fond of pointing out, when we're feeling bad for ourselves, like, we don't get paid for this. This isn't time set aside by our employer. We are
Right.
not. This isn't something that we do all the time. So the idea that we're approaching a backlog like it's something we really, really have to be doing, yeah, that's absolutely silly. That doesn't mean I can avoid I can't stop it.
I want to
have
get
to
my
go.
I
$2
feel bad.
out of this game.
I feel really, really bad because even if it's $2, all right, even if it's $5, I don't buy it if I don't want to play it. If I look at it and I think I want to play this and I want to have played this and I want that experience to be a part of me, and that's something that I want to go through, and then I don't, then I go back and I do the other thing, and then I feel bad. Because, like, I want to play you. You look really, like, fun and great and amazing and at least cute and clever. And sooner or later, people are going to be talking about you and all the great things that you're about. And I'm not going to be a part of that conversation. And then, I just feel, like, really, really rotten.
I think there's also this. I think there's this thing that for some people, and I'll just use myself for that opinion sort of thing. I think there's something inside me and probably inside a lot of the people who associate with, I bought this, I need to use it. I spent money on this. What else? Think of anything else that you buy and don't even open. Think of a physical object you actually buy, you don't open, you just sit it on your table and it stays there for years.
for you,
unopened.
DVDs.
Well, that's about the closest thing I can associate to that too. But
Yeah, for me as well.
even that I've stopped doing. I still don't do it with games. I think maybe because there isn't a physical thing in my
They're
hand.
too cheap. They're too easy to buy.
Yeah.
And
But there's still
they're
this.
going to be there for a long time.
But why did you buy them? Because you wanted them, right?
Because I wanted them.
And you want to play them.
Yes.
But then we don't.
Yes.
It's weird.
It is weird.
I mean, I'm not trying to find some excuse or reason or why. I'm just saying, here's this strange thing that we do that I can't figure out why we do it, other than the fact that, like you said, it's so easy to be done.
Part of me wants to think that, and this I could just be manufacturing this and it could be total garbage. I think something that we maybe tend to forget is, at least for a lot of us here, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when we talk about what we perceive to be like the heyday of certain kinds of gaming in the mid to late 90s or the early aughts or something like that, the quality of certain titles that we refer to endlessly was in their own way much better than what we have now, or the games themselves were a lot more like what we have now. But the quantity of above average games was much, much lower. Gaming as a whole, gaming as a business didn't generate anything nearly like what it generates now. There weren't nearly as many consumers, and there wasn't as much productivity. The industry was just smaller on both sides of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't as many games. There used to be periods of time, man, when there just was nothing to play. And like your backlog was like 3 games that you had picked up on sale last Christmas. Maybe I'll get around to those, right? Because they were still plastic discs.
They're still physical objects, yes.
Regardless of whether they went in a console or on the
Well,
PC.
that goes to your point of they weren't as easy to buy.
And they weren't as cheap.
And they weren't as cheap.
No, that's simply that. And so you had like this incredible, voracious appetite for any game that came along that you were interested in and could afford. Now, I don't mean to say anything about the quality of the games, but it's all, I don't know, not fast food, but it's all like, I feel like I went from being
Starving?
a nomadic hunter
Yeah.
to like being faced with a dollar menu on every corner. I feel like the appetite that's in me because of the scarcity of what I wanted.
And now, like, I was at Dollar General yesterday, and they had like video games there for sale. I mean, you could get them literally anywhere. When even like Burger King back in the day was like giving away those like creepy Burger King creeping games, So it's like a proliferation of the hobby.
And I don't ever have to. I don't have to do anything with them. I just like, click, click, click. Okay, it's mine. I don't have to look at it. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to observe my shelf full of stuff that is unplayed.
You don't even have to install it onto your hard drive.
No. I don't feel the weight of it in a bag. It doesn't generate trash in my house. None of these things. It is merely now a part of my. I don't know. Each of those things own a tiny little piece of my soul. Is how I feel about it because I bought you for a reason. I want you.
I know, and it's interesting you say that. Even it's a maybe it's subconscious. Maybe no, it's not a subconscious thing that I do. It's a full on effort that I do. But when I look at my Steam list, I don't go to show all games. I go to just show me the installed games.
Oh yeah,
because that's a lot less than what. Because when it brings up that, I'm like, man,
that's not psychological for me. It's just that the list becomes so long.
I know it's
if I show all games that I can't find what I'm looking for quickly enough.
Yeah, it's a lot, and the Steam sale is not even over with yet. So the other game I picked up today, by the way, I picked up Snow, which had won a community choice. It is an early access game.
Okay.
I'd normally stick away from those. However, it has Oculus Rift support, and I have an Oculus Rift now. I have a development kit that just came in, and I hooked it up last night.
How is it?
I wish you could come over and try it out. I wish all of you could come over. I mean, we're thinking about some way that we can bring it in here so that you guys can try it out on the show and experience it. I mean, that can be done. It's going to take a little bit of effort, but it can be done and can be brought in here to have you experience it. I'm fascinated with the technology. When I put it on and it's a horrible looking demo. It's called Tuscany, and it just puts you in this little village house in apparently Tuscany. Nothing's going on. The water's not moving. No birds. There's no, there's some ambient noise going on or whatever. But when I put it on and I looked around and this world was around me, I was inside this house and I could look in any direction I wanted to. I can do this in a game. But with the free flow of moving your head in that direction and seeing exactly what you would see from that point of view, grinning like a kid, man. I loved it. I loved it. And so then I grabbed a roller coaster demo thing that gave me a little bit of queasiness as we went to the top because it did a corkscrew spiral thing, and I got a little bit. I'm okay on these things, but this one actually kind of gave me a little bit of vertigo when it was doing that. I got a tour of the universe, and then I got this Sim Earth-like thing that lets you walk around pretty much what is Earth. But it's interesting. So I picked up Snow, and I'm going to try that out as well. But it is, I can't wait for you guys to experience it. I really can't.
Yeah,
so,
I definitely like to try that out.
Yeah, we'll definitely try and do that soon to make that happen. Anyway, we're going to take our final break of the hour, and when we come back, we will have more in-game chat in just a bit. And welcome back to In-Game Chat for the final segment of our show for 2013. In case you were watching the cam feed there and saw James waving his arms about and stuff.
I always do that during the break.
We always do during the break. It's the conversations that we have off the air. And he was looking at, basically you were looking up and found that Assassin's Creed Liberation's getting a PC release.
Yeah, I ran across that on Steam, and I thought, like, what wonderful timing.
Assassin's Creed
now
Liberation.
That I have the appropriate platform on which to play this.
Assassin's Creed Liberation HD was originally released for the Vita. And in fact, that's the
I think
version.
the only way you could really get it right now.
That was the only way. That's
Yes.
still the only way you can get it, and that's the Vita that I got, was that bundle, that Assassin's Creed bundle that came with that
I remember
game.
that.
And interestingly enough, it came with a physical copy of that game. Whereas I think
that's strange.
Okay,
most
so the download copy
now come with download codes.
Right.
So there is that, and that's when we started talking about the memory card for the Vita. You're only getting, with that bundle, you're only getting a 4 gig card, which is really tiny. And I'm not sure that a game exceeds 4 gigs. I imagine there may be one or two that do. But Matt made the mention that enjoy just playing Uncharted on there, because Uncharted Golden Abyss is 3-point-something gigs, I believe, or right at 3 gigs maybe. And so you really only have, with that memory card, a one game at a time type situation. And you were alluding to the fact that that's the way it used to be.
It's a little bit more like what it used to be. I'm not having a Vita before now. I never really understood from a first-person point of view why everybody was so upset about the memory cards. Don't get me wrong. I understand that the pricing and the sizes are ludicrous. I understand that because we can look directly to other storage situations on the market. Storage in general, regardless of platform, isn't terribly expensive, and it shouldn't be terribly expensive. So I understand that's pretty usurious, but I guess I never really intended in wanting one or in having one. I would never really intend on having more than just a few games with me anyway.
Yeah, you've seen mine and how much I've thrown onto that thing. I've got a 32 gig. It's not even a stick, really. It's a 32 gig nail of some type. It's really tiny. But I've thrown whatever I get, I kind of throw on there.
Right.
Because I've got the room for it. But
and then there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I prefer the convenience of that. But yeah.
I felt very strange for not being as bothered by it as other people. I feel like a minimal amount of storage that could hold maybe more than 4, obviously, but enough storage that could hold a few games, I would be perfectly fine with. I am accustomed to having done this so much in the past, having to make room on my PC or on my 360, and we're talking about a past far enough away that anytime you had to make room for something, it meant deleting the game entirely, and if you wanted it back, you were pulling out the physical media, you were going through, what could be a very tedious installation process again. You had to manage your storage. That's another benefit of something like Steam is I don't manage my storage. They manage my storage. I only have a few things installed at once, or more than a few, but you get my point. I don't really mind having 1 or 2 things locally accessible at a time and then just deleting that if I find that I'm not playing it enough right now, or if it's time to move on to something else, because I can always re-download it from whichever digital storefront I've purchased it from, or my saves are going to be either local or in the cloud. Like, I'm not going to lose those things at all. I wasn't as worried about it, and I always thought maybe that I'm missing something completely with it, but I think for whatever reason I've just chosen not to be bothered by it quite so much. Even if you don't have enough storage to hold everything you want installed, everything else about the process is so much more friendly and convenient now. And yes, one day all of the digital stores will dry up and blow away. I guess, but things haven't, that doomsday hasn't happened yet. I'm comfortable enough with it to just say I'll just access your store whenever I want to, unless it's down, which has happened a lot recently.
Well, yeah, it has. Especially it was on Christmas, I think. It was release day and Christmas is when it really, Christmas Eve and Christmas was when it really, PSN took a beating.
Not just PSN. One of my friends got the 3DS Zelda bundle, and in it the Link Between Worlds is on the code. It's not the actual physical
It's a
card.
download code, okay.
Yeah, download code. She tried to go online, onto the Nintendo store.
Nintendo's been having some problems with their eShops lately.
Yeah, she could not access it.
So much so that they're actually shutting down the eShop for like a day while they fix the problems that are going on. I'm honestly not familiar with the eShops or how they work or what they're what they're primarily used for. I don't know. I just don't use them. So, but I've just been hearing a lot of talk about. I've been having problems getting through that storefront or that system, the eShop system. So, I was talking to somebody else about the Vita situation. They're like, "Do you think he'll like that?" And I was like, "Well, let me put it to you this way. I know that he had mentioned the 3DS, and I'm talking about James here. He talked about getting a 3DS, the Zelda bundle, during a Black Friday deal." And I said that this holding my Vita holds a lot of potential for what he just has, the PS4, what he just got. There's a lot of potential of parity there of what's going to be going on between those two systems and what can be done. And even though I don't use my Vita very much, I'm glad I have it for what possibly may come in between those two.
I used mine a lot when I was away because it was a good, they're great for travel.
Oh, if I had to go away anywhere, and
that's why I was saying, getting like the higher memory card because for my for travel I know I
sound
access.
like a complete goon about half the time when I'm trying to make my points make any kind of sense whatsoever or translate them into something someone else can at least understand. I just, for whatever it is, my life and my existence and how I know for a fact that I will use the thing, I'm just like, I don't know. I am intellectually aware of the greater issue. It was more about me thinking I had missed some huge part of the equation. Like there being limited installs or some kind of particularly egregious issue with accessing the store and you re-download some account thing. Again, because I'm coming from the spoiled place of Steam, where it's just like, I can drip drool on my keyboard and accidentally buy a game on Steam or install it or download it or get it from wherever because they've made it so stupidly easy. Which maybe in turn is making me more stupid and less critical. But that was my real concern. And I mean, regardless of that, if I lived a life where I traveled and could play, I would absolutely do that. If it was 15 years ago and I was like still going on tours, working in theater, absolutely, you know. Or when I even worked backstage, not even on touring, you know, when I didn't go out on the road anymore, my Game Boy Advance SP got me through so much stuff. It's not even funny. Like that little guy held me up, you know, through 80-hour work weeks of just sitting backstage in the dark. That was very, very important to me. I don't have that life anymore.
Yeah.
I have a life where I'm in front of a desk for 16 hours a day. So
And I said the same thing. If we lived in a more metro area where
if I rode the bus or the
Yeah.
train, like those people over in the socialist nations of Europe do,
yeah,
like,
it would
with all of their
actually-
disgusting public transportation that goes
Yeah.
all over the place and everything. I don't know, whatever. We have that here. It's a joke. If I participated in it, regardless of what continent I lived on, it would matter a whole lot more to me.
Mhm.
But alas, I don't get to use it as it's meant to be. You know, or if I was 12 or whatever. I don't know.
True. So yeah, that's what we were talking about. And the memory cards are so stupidly expensive for the Vita. It's ridiculous. The Vita, cheap really by comparison, for what those memory cards are.
Yeah, looking on Amazon, the 32 gig is 80.
It's $80.
$80.
Well, that's because they're proprietary, right? They're
Yep.
made by
Yeah.
Sony.
It's Sony.
So
I don't even think they have third-party memory cards for them.
no, they don't. No, it's just Sony. That's it. So you were looking ahead to 2014 a little bit there, seeing that Assassin's Creed is hitting PC, Metal Gear Solid Rising Revengeance or whatever is hitting PC in just a few short weeks as
Yeah,
well.
we'll see. We'll see what they say about that.
Yeah.
We'll see. There are already some pretty bad rumors that it's not going to be running like a proper PC game.
That's was 30?
30, yeah.
That's a fast game to be running 30.
It is.
Platinum.
There is
by the
no
way,
reason.
I looked to RJ because he's experienced Platinum Games titles before.
Yeah.
And they're running at 30. Possibly running at 30 on the PC. 30 frames per second. And you know how fast those games are.
Yes, very much so.
So
30 ain't gonna work.
there you have it, folks. RJ's that is the statement you can put on the box. 30 ain't gonna work for Revengeance.
Well, that's a much more direct way of stating a lot of the problems about the transition from previous to current gen.
True.
30 is just not going to work.
30 ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Because I believe Assassin's Creed was running at 30 until they patched it on PS4, correct?
I don't know about the frame rates. I actually don't. It was running sub 1080p.
Mm-hmm.
I know that. So, I know that what we're going. I'm really, really interested in where we're going, because I am. Yeah, the PS4 and the Xbox One are out right now. We've got a handful of last gen titles that are being made to look like current gen titles, and everything. They're doing cross gen, cross platform. We're getting some HD remakes, and that's probably going to be kind of like a thing, you know, for the next few years, which isn't necessarily bad. For me, especially if it's a game I've missed. You know, it'd be a nice thing to see it in HD on a more modern system. I've already unplugged the old PS3. Like, I managed to play through everything I wanted. I gave it some Last of Us. I gave it some Beyond Two Souls. Played Journey, and I was out. And that was everything that I wanted to do. And so I want to be completely, me, personally, I want to be completely done with the previous generation. I want to see us completely committed to the new generation, because I'm very interested in seeing what they can do when they're sort of unshackled by having to make games for past systems.
And as soon as they can figure out a way to carry over my Walking Dead saves, I will have cut that cord
Yeah.
to that previous gen. You're sitting in the same boat with your
Yeah, with that I
360.
am. With
Yeah.
that I am.
Which,
Yeah,
you know,
you're right.
not to jump back on that, but we spoke about this off air for a bit. Thing ran like crap on the PS3.
You were playing off the disc. You were not playing off a digital installed version, correct?
I'm talking about Season 2.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about
I
Walking
apologize.
Dead Season 2.
Right.
That ran...
It ran
worse than Season 1 off the disc.
It's the same thing on the 360 as well. It ran in any scene that it had a lot of loading issues. That's all I'm going to say. I thought it was very clear that all of the issues were technical and they were related to the loading. of the title. Anytime that it was trying to play and stream in data in the background, it was horrible. And there were half a dozen times where I thought the game had locked up entirely.
I thought it was going to crash, or I was going to miss something crucial because it was trying to catch up to itself.
Yes.
And I thought I was either going to miss it. A choice was going to pop up right when it was about to. I was about to lose the option to make that choice because it was so delayed, and it was just really trying to chug along and doing that. You're playing one. Dennis is playing one on the PC right now.
Playing one on PC, and every time when I first load the game, like for about 10 seconds, it just stutters. It's the best way I can think about it. Everything just slows down, jumps around. About 10, 15 seconds later, runs fine.
Now it should be.
The entire time.
I mean, it should be good for everybody. At this point, I would appreciate one platform that just does it better than the other, so I could say, look, I need to somehow get on that platform. But it's not. All three. Well, I say all three. It's on a bunch of different machines, but just PC, 360, PS3 speaking, it's all running just horrible.
Yeah, on 360 with Season 1, I didn't have an issue at all, ever. But apparently Season 2 is just...
And Season 2 is just horrible.
bad.
And it's just interesting to think of that, because just a month before, or a little bit more than a month, I played Wolf Among Us, which is basically running the same engine. No problem. I was playing that on PC, by the way, but I still had absolutely no problem with the way that it ran. You played that on, James?
With what?
Wolf Among Us
Played it on the 360.
360.
Yeah.
Yeah. And had no problem, right? No, it
It
ran
actually
really great.
ran comparatively really, really well.
I need to see how that does on the PS3 because that's what I have it on. I haven't finished it yet, but I've started it. So
Wolf?
yeah, Wolf Among Us. Yeah.
All my Telltale games are on PC.
All right, since you bring this up, though, maybe I missed this while I was out. I
Probably
actually
not.
don't know. Are you in the camp that Telltale is just filling up their plate a little bit too much? Or are you okay with the pace at which they seem to be taking on new projects? Because in this specific instance, I had already resigned myself to not seeing season two of The Walking Dead until maybe 2014, right? And then all of a sudden, kind of out of nowhere because I wasn't paying attention, here's Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, well, this is fantastic. We'll get a little ways into this, and maybe towards the end
the
of it.
release of Wolf gave me the thought that, okay, this comes out, then it's going to be a couple of months before I see season 2 of
Right.
Dead.
Yeah.
But
I
if
thought
anything-
Wolf they were going to do all the episodes of that before something else big.
I thought that they were at least going to stay somewhat linear because I thought we had heard a ways back that Walking Dead season 2 might not be around until 2014. And again, I had not followed it. I already understood when that comes out, it's just a thing I'll buy. You know, I don't care. I'm already sold on the idea. When that comes out, I will buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Done. And it won't be very expensive, so I don't have to really plan for it or plan around it. But I know that you can add development teams. I know that you can break people off and focus in different directions and take a small studio and create a bigger studio out of it. But there are still bottlenecks in an organization that mean that if you grow at a certain rate, you're not going to be acting as efficiently. You're going to be maybe pushing faster than your organization can handle. And I don't know what their organization is. I'm not inside of it. To see they pick up another game and they're going to be running 2 games simultaneously, that's really great. But what are we up to now? 4?
Four.
Because now we have all
Fables.
4. Now we have all 4 announced projects. Mm-hmm. We have the Walking Dead. We have Fables. We have
Borderlands,
and Game of Thrones, and
They're each really heavily story driven.
no, and again, it's perfectly fine. And I don't want to get into the ungame, non-game argument about it, but man, your game won't even load good on a PC. You have save game bugs that were never rectified. I'm perfectly fine with your art, and I know that it could be a shambles underneath the presentation, and it apparently is, but like, you never went through this transition period where it's like, oh, we have lots of money, we're totally big enough, we are going to get our act together and make sure that on the technical side, our engine is running smooth and it can absolutely handle everything we want to do. And by the way, the new thing we just introduced, it's 3 months until you see the second episode of that business, because we have to start pimping this other thing over here again. What's going to happen when everything that they're doing is a worthy success and they're trying to juggle them all at once? Where are we going to be? I mean, at first I reacted poorly to people suggesting maybe they've taken on too much, but anymore I'm like, I don't know, man, your game it runs like crap, and I'm looking for anything to grab onto.
Well, you hope they don't pull a Gearbox where
they outsource something,
or it's in that situation where they've taken on more than they can handle, or they really want to focus. You release a game, you don't know what's going to happen to it, so you need to support it if there's problems, and that remains to be seen on what they're doing, because, like you said, they haven't rectified the issue with the save games for Walking Dead Season 1.
Mm-hmm.
But if it becomes an issue and you've got deadlines to meet, you're either going to be doing a couple of things. You're going to have to extend those deadlines and say, well, we've got to push it back. In that case, you might as well just not announce anything at all, or something is going to suffer because of it.
Yeah,
Quality,
drop in quality,
or something like that is going to take a hit, perhaps, if that's the case. If it runs into that, I really, none of us have any kind of insight into what they planned or how they've worked this whole thing out. So it's all speculation here, and we're not saying that they're wrong for doing this, or that there's every reason to be worried that they're doing this. There's really not, but just trying to figure out how you can take on 4 games, or at least announce these 4 games, and still put out the quality that you've been putting out. Even a studio as big as Naughty Dog split just to do 2.
Yeah, they did,
and even
it caused them problems.
Oh man! And even then, that was staggered in a much larger release period. We don't even know when the next Uncharted is going to be released. It could be another year or so from now before that's even released. So, but this is a much smaller studio trying to do 2 games released now and keep those relevant and current. You can't Wolf Among Us can't come out. Episode 2 can't hit 6 months down the line after Episode 1. I mean, it can, but that's just not the way they've been doing
at that
things.
point, you have to catch up. Okay, what happened in Episode 1? Because I don't remember. Because Season 1 of Walking Dead was about a month apart each episode.
I think it was a little more than that.
A little over.
I think it was.
Okay. I mean, 3 months. Not, that's like you need to have your mid-season finale.
Yeah.
And then come back in.
Well, and it makes me wonder, what are you about, man? Are you having problems actually putting the second one together? I don't feel like you rushed the first one. I mean, it was good. I really liked the way that they changed their formula a little bit. But what's your problem? Is it a technical limitation? Is it a marketing limitation? Is it a QA limitation? Are you trying to game all of your own properties to make sure that things come out exactly when you want them to? I mean, I'm sure you are, but are you doing it to your benefit and not mine? I don't really follow. And 3 months begins to threaten the notion of episodic gameplay. And I know that the whole concept of episodic gameplay is now tainted almost beyond relief. They're still doing it, but I don't actually know that if they can't stick to a schedule better than every 3 months, I don't really know what we're going to be able to get out of it.
The first Walking Dead season, it was 2 months in between episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was about 2 months.
Okay.
All I know,
that was a good enough time,
all I know is that it's just outside of that digestible distance, After a month, like I'm at my peak of need and desire for the next thing. After 2, I've gotten kind of angry, grouchy. I'm probably pretty grouchy after a while of like, well, what does it matter? I've already put that back in my mind ways. I've already digested it and begun to look forward to the next new thing, because, by the way, there's always a nice new indie title out for $15. There's always something else. By 3 months, I'm like, whatever, whatever. I'll buy it anyway.
And it'll be in his backlog. Thanks everybody for joining us in the chat room, as well as everybody listening on the stream or on their radios or their Xbox Ones, apparently. Thanks to everybody who grabs us each week from iTunes or however you get our show for later use. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to join us on Twitter, on Facebook, our forums at colonyofgamers.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're on Steam, we've got a Steam group you can join up with over there and play games with us and other listeners. I want to wish you guys a wonderful 2014. We'll see you next year, next Saturday. I have no idea what we'll talk about, but we'll figure it out then. Hopefully you'll join us. Thanks for joining us tonight. See you next week.
Xbox off.
It's Xbox turn off. Yes. See if that works.